Hello, 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 hello. Happy Tuesday, March 3rd. Yay! And I'm back with another one. Today's topic is focusing on managers versus leaders, right? We all think that they're one and the same, but no, managing and leading are not equal. They're two separate things. Managers are not the same as leaders. And this is why we have the workspaces that we have and the leaders that we have, or lack thereof, in society, and change never occurs. And then we're always wondering why. Why? Because managers focus on controlling. They are there and designed, and they're implemented and designed to uphold the current system, to delegate, to dictate, to, you know, keep it status quo, as we should say. And leaders are about trust. They're about earning trust. They're about asking the hard questions of, does it matter? While managers ask, was it done? Because they're all about controlling. And leaders are about challenging things, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's costing something, even if the room goes quiet, asking those hard questions. Leaders are about building belief. They're about guiding. They're about diving in and looking at ways to be more innovative and creative and to inspire. Managers are just about compliance. At the end of the day, they're just about compliance. They're not about, upshoring and reconstructing and rebuilding and designing. Managers don't care about people. Managers don't care about how you feel. Their focus is on performance and goals and policies and processes. They're not looking to lead, because leaders put humans first. Leaders put humans before output, before deadlines, before quarterly numbers, before profits. Lord, not the profits, not people before profits. Yes, because that's what leaders do. The idea is clear that if you want change, you have to be a leader, because the hard questions have to be asked, and we have to learn to sit in uncomfortable truths. And you have to be willing to make decisions to protect people and not positions, because that's how change comes about. Because leaders inspire. While we see, obviously, in society and in organizations, it's all about promoting managers, right? And then calling them leaders when they're not really leaders, because they're not focusing on what leadership truly is about. And leadership is about inspiring others, the human approach, the understanding that humans are the key to success, and that humans are the reason for why change occurs and why change needs to occur. But everyone thinks as a manager, whether in politics, whether in business, whether in just basic society of how we go about, right? It's all about upholding a system. It's not really asking the question about why, and is this working? And is this necessary? Are we even seeing a profit on that? Because a manager is supposed to ask that question, but they really don't, right? They're only looking for the profit based on, what the bottom line is, right? But not really on the return on investment for what's been implemented. They're only focusing on the small questions, while the leader is looking at the overall picture, the micro versus the macro, right? Which is better, the manager or the leader? And the leader is about creating change. The leader is about leading in truth and in honesty and with inclusivity. So when you're wondering why nothing is changing, why culture is toxic, why people are leaving, why no innovation is occurring, because you have a manager and not a leader. A leader ties it all together, A manager is just someone with a title that doesn't lead. They're not focused on why you feel the way you feel. That's why well-being is always viewed as something that's not necessary, because they're managing. Their job is to manage processes and make sure specific goals are being met, while the leader should be implementing and ensuring the understanding that what those specific goals that managers are designed to oversee, key word, because that's what a manager does, oversees, dictates, and directs, while the leader is supposed to be putting the understanding of asking the hard questions. Why are these things not being implemented? Why is this change not occurring? Where is the innovation? Why is it so toxic? Those are the things that we need to understand. And that all focuses on the understanding of the individuals, the humans, the employees, the people that the people in our neighborhoods and in society when it comes to politics. So regardless of what space you're in, those that are in charge don't need to operate as a manager, but sadly they do. And that's because the overall goal is obviously not to have change occur, right? Because if you're operating as a manager, you don't want change. You like the way things are going. You don't assume that things are needing to change because your job is not to focus on changing. Your job is to oversee. It's not to build trust. It's not to build understanding. It's not to guide change and direct change and lead change and inspire others and to create, right? It's to uphold. And if you've been following me on my talks, you know that if we're upholding the same system of the past, then we're dragging the same archaic, basic, best practices and archaic ideologies and methodologies into the present and into the future because we are not innovating. If you're staying with the past, you're not learning from the past. You're not growing, you're not creating, and it's just being managed. That's what's really going on. It's just being managed. It's not being led. It's not being inspired. It's just being mimicked by what we see other businesses doing. Companies love to mimic each other, right? So it's all about the mimicking. There's never the creativity in the building upon, and building outward. It's always building upward from what has been implemented. And we want to move forward. We want to build. You want to grow. You want to create. But you can't create if you're only managing. Hi, thanks for joining. You're only managing. And you need to be doing more than just managing. You need to be moving forward. And that's why it's important for all of us to step into our leadership capabilities and being a leader. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to catch the replay. It's all about managing. Just as when I come on here, I'm not coming on here as a manager mindset where I'm dictating, these things need to happen for, you to be great as a leader or for you to be great in your career or for you to be, no. I'm coming on as a leader. I'm coming on to inspire. I'm coming on to just help us all see clearer so we all can, find our own innovative and creative way about how we go about in society, how we go about in our professional careers. That's my overall goal. Thank you. Somebody told me that I should do voice acting or what is it? Voiceovers. Yeah, voiceovers. I was like, really? I thought about it. I was like, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. If you like my voice. But yes, it's very, very true. So it's all about, me building belief and inspiring others. That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. And, it's not about looking to, dictate and control society because that's what managing is all about. It's about controlling, keeping what's already there, stifling. And as I've been if you've been following me, all the talks that I've been having it's about maintaining the status quo. And status quo is not about change. Status quo is not about elevation. Status quo is not about, thriving. It's not about even inclusivity, really, if you look about it, because it's about them versus us. Because that's what the system is based on. Them versus us versus them. And that idea, I guess, from what I be gathering, I still don't understand it, and I think it's strange. But that idea is for only the few to maintain power, hence why the managers are implemented. to maintain that certain status and system, so that only a few can prosper, only a few can come ahead, only a few can grow, only a few can, make it through. And they find ways to maintain that by, looking at different ways to suppress others. Because it's all about managing the systems that have always been implemented to keep people out. And that's why no growth occurs. And then everyone's wondering why no change is occurring. Change isn't occurring because it's being managed and not led. That's the key. To lead by example, to lead to inspire, to lead to create, and to lead to build confidence in others. That's really what, creates change and creates all of these great things that we have in society. Someone had a thought and they didn't fall victim to fear and they led. And that's an interesting thing because managers do often operate out of fear. So the decisions that they make are based on fear many times because it's not aligned with the status quo. So if it's not aligned with the rule book, the best practices, it says here, it can't be like that. It can't do it because it's not in the manual. And if it's not in the manual, we can't do it. Whereas a leader will say, what if and why not? They're not afraid if it's not in the manual. They don't need a manual because they understand people. They understand the whys, and they understand that change needs to occur. That's the difference. That's something that must be understood. And that is why change has not ever occurred. When we look at society and how, even though time has allowed us to evolve, so we're learning in specific ways when it comes to technology and how we operate businesses and how we create things like clothes and things like that. So yeah, someone had to be creative and step out and be a leader, and then others followed suit, and then it's just managed in that way, right? There's always that one great person that steps outside the box and leads the way, because that's what a leader is, not a manager. When you look at politics, many are managers, they're not leaders. They're there to maintain what is going on. When you look at business, it's the same thing. Nothing's changing because no one is leading. When no one leads, everyone operates on the same chaotic hamster wheel of a system. Because that's what it's about. We're following the rules of the system. We're not getting off. We're riding the horse. We're going on, we're riding. Nothing's changing. And that's so interesting because this is the Chinese year of the horse. So me saying that is funny. But nothing's changing. So if nothing's changing, it's because nobody's leading. And if nobody's leading, it's because they're not listening. Because a leader is going to be listening. They're going to ask the questions. They're going to be looking around. And they'll be like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? Ain't nothing changing. Ain't nobody prospering. Ain't nothing happening. But they still getting rich. You know why? Because it's managed to be that way. It is designed to be that way. Because if someone was to truly want change, they're going to lead the change. And that's what it's going to be about. So that's the difference between a manager and a leader. Either you're going to uphold a system or you're going to lead to design a new one. And that's what it's all about. And it's up to you to decide which one you want to be. You want to be a manager or you want to be a leader? You want to be there to uphold and control and ensure compliance and, not ask the hard questions and not desire change? Just go about the regular daily pursuit. And, that means you never be looking to get a better job. That means you never be looking, to grow and prosper personally and financially and professionally, because you're just managing what you got going on, right? If you're going to be a leader, you're going to always be looking for ways to improve. You're going to always be looking for ways to learn. You're going to always be looking for new people to connect with and engage with and, look for all types of ways to even change constantly. because that's what it is to mean to be a leader. Evolution versus status quo. That's what it means to manage or to lead. I enjoyed this talk. I really did. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. And I want to thank you for joining me today. And like always, be the change. Love yourself and others. Bye.